Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to RotoBaller Radio's Fantasy Football Preview Series. I'm your host, Anthony Aniano. Happy to be with you here today, Monday, July 11th, as we kick off our sleeper and draft value video series, starting at the quarterback position. Guys, don't forget, head over to rotoballer.com right now and sign up for that premium package using the promo code ACES. Whatever sport you're interested in, whether it's the second half of your fantasy baseball season, fantasy football draft prep, and in-season content throughout basketball, MMA, esports, NASCAR, PGA, you name it, rotoballer.com, the place to be. Tons of free content, the premium site, sign up for that using the promo code ACES, save yourself 10% at discount, whether you play season long or DFS. Rotoballer.com, the place to be. Lineup optimizers, waiver wires, start sits, sleepers, the new lineup sync tool, whatever it is you're looking for, rotoballer.com. Make sure you like and subscribe right here to the Rotoballer YouTube channel if you haven't already. Tons of content from baseball for football to guide you through both of those seasons. And download the app, the Rotoballer app, right now for your phone. All the latest news, articles, opinions, whatever you're looking for, the RotoBaller app has it all right there in the palm of your hand. All right, everybody? So I'm going to come at you once a week here. As you know, you may see my face if you've been watching the baseball waiver wire videos, but now we're going to talk football once a week as well, with sleepers and draft values, looking at ADP as our guiding point. And for the ADPs, I use FFC, Fantasy Football Championship, 12-team PPR as my guideline for these ADPs. And I got 5 players. Say, talking quarterbacks today. We'll do a position a week and look at some guys going high and some values as you continue to go down through the draft with some ADP upsides and values as you go through. So at the quarterback position, I'm going to start with Patrick Mahomes today. He's currently going on average as the second quarterback in 12-team PPR drafts on the FFC. Okay, right after Josh Allen. And there's been conversation of other quarterbacks going before him. Justin Herbert going 2, Patrick Mahomes going 3. But on average, he's the second quarterback coming off the board. His average ADP is at pick 29.6. Okay, so that's third round, pick 6. Now, last season, he finished the 2021 fantasy football season as quarterback 4. Okay, 4,839 passing yards, 4th in the league. An average of 284.6 yards per game on 436 completions, 658 attempts. That's completion rate of 66%, which pretty much is the average of the 5 quarterbacks I'm going to talk about today. Somewhere between 66 and 68% they all finished at. Now, okay, last season, 37 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, terrific season. But there's a part of me that thinks people are still drafting Patrick Mahomes in the 3rd round, okay? About halfway through the 3rd round, 6th pick, 3rd round. And looking for that 2018 MVP magic. You remember the year. He threw for 50 touchdowns that year, okay? Fun fact, he's never thrown over 40 since. Now, I'm not diminishing Patrick Mahomes. Full disclosure, in an FFPC draft, I am in a slow draft. I took him. I got him in round 6. I didn't plan on drafting him. He made it to round 6. 3rd quarterback off the board. Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, 1-2. Didn't plan on Mahomes based on that IDP of middle of round 3. I always say it. Nobody's undraftable. At some point, everybody has a value that you can't ignore. Patrick Mahomes 3-6, I'm not doing it. Patrick Mahomes round 6, sign me up, and that's what I did in FFPC. However, current ADP is round 3, pick 6. Okay, now keep in mind what's happened here. Okay, like I said, 2018 he throws for 50 touchdowns. In the 3 seasons since, 26, 38, 37. Nothing to sneeze at. Terrific numbers. Like I said, 4th in the league in passing yards, just under 285 passing yards per game. But we know what's happened there in Kansas City, right? Tyreek Hill is now playing for the Miami Dolphins. His big play guy. The Patrick Mahomes highlight reel play where he's running for his life flings the ball 40 yards in the air, 50 yards in the air, and there's Tyreek Hill to corral it and run it in for a big play. We've seen it a million times. It's magical when you, especially if you double stack like I've done in the past, Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes. Okay, he hasn't Travis Kelce. There's concerns about age. What's the running back situation? Clyde Edwards-Helaire, they brought in Ronald Jones. And the biggest question is who emerges in Kansas City as the big play guy replacing Tyreek Hill? Okay, Juju Smith-Schuster is going to provide terrific PPR value, I believe. So now the big play comes to Mecole Hardman. Is it the rookie Sky Moore? Is it the veteran Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who came over from Green Bay? And the reports are he has looked the best out of any running back, any wide receiver in the Chiefs' OTAs. Okay? That being said, those are questions that we don't have answers to. And you're investing a quarterback, one of the best, in the middle of the third round. When there are other quarterbacks with potentially less questions, similar stats, going later in the draft. Which leads me to my second quarterback, Matthew Stafford. You know him, Super Bowl champion, Matthew Stafford, who is going on average on the FFC as quarterback 9. 7 quarterbacks after Patrick Mahomes. He is going at an overall ADP of 74.8, approximately 40 to 45 picks after Patrick Mahomes. He is going in round 7, and that brings him to round 7, 7.3. Third pick, 7th round. Okay, 4 rounds later, 40 or so picks later. And last season, Patrick Mahomes finished as quarterback 4. Matthew Stafford finished QB 5. 4,886 yards, more yards than Patrick Mahomes. He finished 3rd in yards. Patrick Mahomes finished 4th. 287.4 yards per game, about 3 yards more per game. Not worth much fantasy-wise. Okay, 41 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns more than Patrick Mahomes. Now the problem, led the league in interceptions, 17 interceptions. But we're not talking Jameis Winston throwing 30 INTs. It was 17. Okay, 67.2% completion percentage, 404 completions on 601 attempts. He did more yards, more touchdowns on 57 yet less passing attempts. Now, he doesn't run 43 rushing yards, whereas Patrick Mahomes ran for 381 yards and 2 touchdowns, so that factors into things as well. Okay? But the truth is, you look at the receiving core and the upheaval in Kansas City with Tyreek Hill now in Miami, and you look at what the Rams have done. Okay? The Rams still have statistically the best wide receiver in the game last year, Cooper Kupp. They lost Robert Woods, remember, to the ACL. Then they traded him to Tennessee. They replaced him with Allen Robinson, which I'm giddy over. All in on Allen Robinson this year. And they still have Van Jefferson. And let's see what happens. Odell Beckham Jr. is still floating around in free agency. Plus, you get a full season now of Cam Akers in the backfield, a strong offensive line, defending Super Bowl champions who continue to push all in free agency to repeat. It's like everybody else is dealing with the salary cap. The Rams somehow magically don't deal with anything with that. And yet Matthew Stafford, 7 quarterbacks after Patrick Mahomes on average, 40 picks after Patrick Mahomes on average, okay, and about 4 rounds later than Patrick Mahomes. For a guy who threw for a few more yards, a few more touchdowns, yes, a few more interceptions as well. Up third on my list, Derek Carr of the Las Vegas Raiders. Currently going as quarterback 14. Overall ADP of 107.7. 12-team league, that's round 9. Very end of round 9. 9.12. So essentially even round 10, you could say, for Derek Carr. Last season, he finished as quarterback 12. Why? Because he was 5th in the league in passing yards. 5th. Stafford was 3rd. Patrick Mahomes 4th. Okay, Derek Carr 5th. Full disclosure, the first 2 were the ageless Tom Brady, and second was Justin Herbert. Okay, they both finished at over 5,000 yards. Derek Carr finished 5th in passing yards. 282.6 yards per game he averaged. 4,804 yards. Now, the problem with Derek Carr was the touchdown production. He only finished the year last year with 23 touchdowns to 14 interceptions. Personally, that gap is kind of close for me. completed 68% of his passes, the highest of any of the 5 quarterbacks I'll mention today. 428 completions, second most of any quarterback on this list, just behind Patrick Mahomes, and only 8 behind him on 626 passing attempts. Second most on this list, just behind Patrick Mahomes, about 32 behind him. And what have they done in Vegas? Well, they only brought in, you want to say the best wide receiver? You want to argue me and say second best, third best, whatever you want to say? They brought in Davante Adams to a wide receiver core that desperately needed an alpha because they didn't have an alpha. You had Darren Waller, okay, who was injured and banged up at times last year, finished with 2 touchdowns last year, okay, in 11 games. The year before that, in 2020, he did finish with 9. Hunter Renfrow, who looks like he's a 30 pounds lighter than me with a lot less hair, okay? But Hunter Renfrow was his go-to wide receiver. Now Hunter Renfrow's put in a position which is ideal for him. That second guy, that complementary piece. And don't get me wrong, Hunter Renfrow did terrific in the role he was. Some leagues, he was a waiver wire ad that could have been a league winner. He finished with 9 touchdowns last year, okay? He was the go-to guy. Now you're adding Davante Adams. 169 targets, 123 receptions, 1,553 yards, and 11 touchdowns. He's got 29 touchdowns over the last 2 years. 10 touchdowns 5 times in his career. And you add that production to a team in desperate need of an alpha wide receiver. You could legitimately see Darren Waller's touchdown total increase just based on health. I'm not saying he's going to hit double figures, finish with 5 or 6. Hunter Renfrow have similar production to last year. Let's call it between 7 and 9 touchdowns. That would be 8. And Davante Adams continue to do what he does, which is put up monster yards on monster targets and get over 10 touchdowns. If everything stays the same, Renfrow and Waller, you're just essentially adding the 10 touchdowns from Davante Adams onto Derek Carr's totals. And now suddenly he's 4,800 yards, not with 23 touchdowns, but with 33. Okay? What's my over-under for me? I have Derek Carr 35 touchdowns. And he's going as QB 14. You're saying he's a backup in a 12-team league. Not for me. If I could get him at the end of round 9, start of round 10, I'm doing that. It's a slam dunk pick. And another reason why maybe you can, like we always say, you wait. Okay? Up fourth, the most consistent in recent years of the undervalued quarterback. I'm not saying he is the most consistent, but of the undervalued, his consistency is grossly underrated. And that's Kirk Cousins of the Minnesota Vikings. Currently going as QB 15, ADP of 122.8. It's round 11, pick 3, 11.3. Yet last year, he finished as QB 9. You're drafting his number 1 wide receiver in the first round, Justin Jefferson. You're drafting his starting running back in the first round, Dalvin Cook, a 3-down back. And then you're drafting his second running back, his second wide receiver, Adam Thielen, as your wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. Plus his tight end, Irv Smith, you're treating as a sleeper tight end that you're excited about his upside. KJ Osborne is his third wide receiver, who, if you watched my videos last year, was often on the waiver wire list. Okay? Kirk Cousins last year finished with 4,221 passing yards, 9th in the league. Just under 264 yards per game, 263.8. He finished with 33 touchdowns and only 7 interceptions. Fewest interceptions of anybody on the list today. He has thrown for 30 touchdowns in 3 of the last 4 years. 66.3 completion percentage, 372 completions on 561 attempts. And that's the issue with Kirk Cousins. He doesn't throw the ball enough. He didn't even throw the ball 600 times. He was almost 100 attempts less than Patrick Mahomes. 40 attempts less than Matthew Stafford. Okay? 372 completions. 60 less, roughly, than Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, Kirk Cousins threw for over 4,200 yards, top 10 in the league. Okay? 33 touchdowns, 30 touchdowns 3 of the last 4 years. Doesn't throw interceptions. I get it. He doesn't win the big game. I get it. We've seen it a million times. Doesn't matter. Fantasy football is about numbers, not what Minnesota does. And the numbers are there. With an alpha wide receiver that the Raiders just traded for, that the Chiefs traded away, okay, and that the Rams have, okay. He's had Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson, and before him, Adam Thielen was an alpha, okay. So Kirk Cousins, as QB 15, you could, in theory, go into your season and say, Anthony, I'm taking Derek Carr in round 9, Kirk Cousins in round 11. That's my quarterback combination. I'll play the matchups, and I will tip my cap to you and say, great job, because that means rounds 1 through 8, you loaded up at wide receiver, running back, grab the tight end somewhere, and are ready to win. And finally, my 5th quarterback. And I don't know if he's a sleeper. I hate the word sleeper, full disclosure, but there's potential for value. And that's Tua Tagovailoa of the Miami Dolphins. Okay? Played in 12 games last year. It wasn't inspiring. 16 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, just over 2,600 yards, 2,653 in 12 games, 204 yards per game, up about 25 yards from the year before. Completion percentage, second highest on the list, 67.8. I know what you're going to say. It's because he doesn't throw the ball more than 3 yards. 263 completions on 388 attempts. He ran for 3 touchdowns on 128 rushing yards. Okay. Currently going as QB 18. 134th pick overall. He's round 12. 12.2. 12-team, 16-team league. He's going at the end of the draft. Okay. Last season, he finished as QB 24, and that was in 12 games. So he was a QB 2. Now, Miami has done everything they can to surround him with weapons, whether it's in the backfield or out wide. First off, you had Jalen Waddle, who was had a terrific year as a rookie. 104 catches, just over 1,000 yards, 6 touchdowns. He had Mike Gesicki, 73 receptions, 780 yards, 2 touchdowns. You're drafting Jalen Waddle to be a regular member of your fantasy lineup. You're drafting Mike Gesicki, probably as a low-end starting tight end. They add in the backfield. They revamp the backfield. They had Sony Michel to be a hammer type of running back. You get what you can get out of Raheem Mostert if he can stay healthy. That's the big question. And they add Chase Edmonds, who's averaged 48 receptions a year over the last 2 years, and he should be the featured guy catching the ball out of the flat for Tua Tagovailoa. And then, of course, to go with all of this, they had 2 wide receivers. Cedric Wilson from Dallas, who had 602 yards and 6 touchdowns, and then the big fish, Tyreek Hill, 111 receptions, 1,239 yards, and 9 touchdowns. And here is my argument for Tua. And you're drafting him as QB 18, so he is your second quarterback. He is a backup quarterback with upside. I get it. You were drafting Tua's top 2 receiving options, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, within the top 36 of any draft, 12-team league. Tyreek Hill is going in round 2, Jalen Waddle in round 3. If you are willing to draft the 2 wide receivers, then you can't push totally aside the guy throwing him the ball. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how that Miami Dolphin offense works. Can Tua literally reach to a Tyreek Hill when he's streaking down the field? That's going to be the big question. But if you're taking Tyreek Hill, if you're taking Jalen Waddle, and you're saying, that's my guy at wide receiver, then you can't totally poo-poo the quarterback throwing both of them the ball. With the addition of Hill, with the addition of Cedric Wilson as the 3rd wide receiver, who's a good 3rd wide receiver, and with the addition of a strong pass-catching back in Chase Edmonds. Okay? 5 quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes. Do you want him where he's going in round 3.6? I got him in round 6. So full disclosure, I'm not against him, just round 3. Middle of round 3. Matthew Stafford, round 7. Derek Carr, end of round 9, start around 10. Kirk Cousins, early round 11, current ADP. And then Tua in round 12. Okay? A lot of consistency at the end there with Carr and Cousins. Upside with Carr and Devontae Adams. And Tua, the ultimate upside play for the year with the additions they've made to that offense. All right, everybody. Don't forget, head over to rotoballer.com. Check out everything we have there. Hopefully you liked the QB sleeper and draft value show. Make sure you tune in each and every week right here on RotoBaller Radio. Like and subscribe. Next week, I'll come at you with running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. We'll have all sorts of fun through the summer months to get you ready for your fantasy football draft. Follow me on Twitter at Aniano Fantasy, and we will see you next time Have a good one, folks.